Hello and welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and today we're going to check out a 2007 Highway 1 Fender Stratocaster. At least that's what was sold to me. So there's a couple things about this guitar that make it a little bit suspect, and that's a problem with buying used Fenders, is that all of these parts are interchangeable, so you're never really quite sure what you're getting until you take it apart. So that's what we're going to do today. We'll see if we can figure out what this is. Let's take a look. Alright, so I got this guitar in a trade, and when I met up with the guy, I noticed that a couple things weren't looking proper on it. So he agreed to let me take off the neck and look under the pickguard. And I did that, and yeah, everything seemed to check out from what I read on the internet. And then when I got home, I started noticing a few more smaller differences. So, alright, first let's take a look at the case. So it actually came in this really nice vintage Fender case. I've since dated it to around 1970s. And these cases can be worth quite a bit on their own. So that's a really cool score in this deal. So let's go ahead and open it up. And yeah, here it is. So yeah, it's a very good looking guitar in Sunburst. And a couple things about these guitars. If you're not familiar with the Highway 1 series, they were American made, kind of more on budget friendly guitars, Strats, that were supposedly made in the USA. They called them Highway 1 because these guitars are actually supposed to have a nitro finish. And from what I've read online, there's a couple different theories for why it was called Highway 1. Some say it's just a name, some say that they were actually shipped back to Mexico to be refinished for the nitro portion and then came back on Highway 1, which is the highway that kind of connects the two factories. But I'm not 100% sure on that. But these had some nice specs. They have the big 70s headstock. They've got the jumbo frets, so nice big frets on this. And it's got a satin neck. It's supposed to come with hot Alnico single coil pickups and a satin nitro finish. So yeah, one thing I noticed right away is this thing is quite glossy for a satin nitro. Now, people do gloss up those satins with like a buffing wheel, so that's possible. But then I had another look, and this is a two-tone sunburst. So three-tone sunburst was only available on those satin nitro guitars. So yeah, this thing was starting to look a little strange comparing to what he said it was. So yeah, I took off the neck, and there was a neck code in the neck pocket that I googled. It was 59404C, and sure enough, they came up as the Highway 1 neck code. So I assumed that this was actually a buffed up Highway 1, but then when I got home I realized it's a two-tone sunburst too. Another thing is that the slugs on the pickups in this model were supposed to be flat, not staggered like these. So yeah, something is off about this guitar, so we're gonna have to take it apart and really figure out what's going on. So alright, let's get it on the bench and have a closer look. Alright, so one of the first things I did was run the serial number. For those of you that don't know, you can actually go to the Fender website and plug in the serial number on their serial number checker, and they'll have a whole database of all the serialized items they've had over the years. When I plugged this in, it comes up as a 2007 Highway 1 in Midnight Wine. And here's a quick look at the specs for that. As you can see, it was supposed to come in a satin nitro. So again, that doesn't make sense. And when I did check the neck pocket, the neck was dated to 2008, and the body was dated to 2008. So the dates match, which is, again, strange. Curiouser and curiouser. So I think we're going to have to take this whole thing apart just to get an idea of what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, I've got this thing fully apart, and I had to do some serious Sherlock Holmings to figure out what this is. But I think I've got an idea that makes sense. So okay, bear with me. So I ran this serial number on this neck, right? And it did date it to a 2007 Midnight Wine satin nitro finish guitar. So that's obviously not what we have here. And then on the neck pocket here, it dates it to January 2008. But then on the body here, I had a look at the code in the neck pocket, and so this also is a 2008, so the dates match, but also has the code 59404C, and low, and then a W. I did some looking on the internet, and all the Highway 1 guitars have that in the neck pocket. So that makes sense that these both date to 2008, and they're both Highway 1 parts. So what's the problem? The problem is that they didn't make two-tone nitro finish in that year, and this doesn't appear to be nitro. It's too shiny, and I did a quick test on it too, just to be double sure, because someone could have like polished up the satin or something. So I used some acetone. So what you do is take some acetone, dip in a Q-tip, and put it somewhere on the finish where you won't see it, like underneath the pickguard. If it is nitro, it will react with the finish. It'll actually etch the finish a little bit, leave a little bit of orange peel, so even when you wipe it away, there'll be like a little rough spot there. So that did not happen on this guitar, so it's not nitro. So then I did a little more looking at the body. I peeled away this sticker here, and I found this body code here on this barcode, which is a 0079283. So I did a little looking on the internet, and that is the body code for the Fender American series. So the American series wasn't released until 2010, but the date code in this neck, or in the body pocket, is a 2008. So that doesn't make sense. So I did a little bit more research, and apparently they used a lot of the Highway 1 bodies that didn't sell for the new American Special Series, which is essentially replacing the Highway 1 series. So the Highway, or the Fender American Special Series, also came in two-tone sunburst, and it was a poly finish. So okay, that makes sense now. So here's what I think happened. I think that the factory used an old body from the original Highway 1 series for the special American Special Series, and either someone replaced the neck with an old Highway 1 neck. Well, this part's confusing too, because they actually, the Highway 1 necks and the Fender American Special Series necks are exactly the same. They have the big 70s headstock and the jumbo frets. They were the same parts. So what may have happened in factory is when someone was making the Fender American Special Series, they took an old Highway 1 neck and forgot to change the serial number and just slapped it on, and it came from factory like that. Or someone went and found a date correct Highway 1 neck as a neck replacement for this guitar. Either are possible, but I think that the factory error is more likely the thing, because I mean they're dated to the same date and everything. Another thing was that in the two-tone sunburst, the American Special Series did not come with a rosewood fingerboard neck until 2014. So yeah, I'm not really sure which one it is. So either the neck was replaced with a very similar neck, or the factory screwed up and forgot to change the serial number on this guitar. Either way, the third thing I found was when I took off this pickguard, I noticed this barcode here. So this barcode on the pickguard actually says American Series Stratocaster, and it dates it to 2012. So, not only did someone swap the neck on this, either that or the factory got it wrong, but then after the fact, all the electronics in the pickguard were replaced. Now, the pickguard is an American Series Fender parts, so everything here is American, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy I didn't get screwed with like a classic series or something like that. But I did a little research on this this year of Strat, and these are actually the Custom Shop Fat 50s pickups, which are great pickups. So yeah, I'm happy about that. And I'm relatively happy that everything's American on this guitar. So anyway, yeah, mystery solved, I guess. It's either, except for the factory thing, I'm not sure if it's a replaced neck or a factory error. But either way, it's the very similar neck that would have been on here regardless. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this thing all back together, and we'll string it up and check the setup, and then we can plug it in and see how it sounds. Alright, all back together, and I guess it's more accurate to call this a Fender American Special Strat, since the body it has the specs for an American Special and the neck. Just the serial number doesn't really work for it, but hey, I would definitely call it that more than a Highway 1, because this does not have nitro. And yeah, this one has upgraded pickups as well. These are the custom Fat 50s pickups, which, you know, they're expensive pickups themselves. It's about $400 Canadian for a set of these, so that's a nice upgrade for this guitar. This is a two-tone sunburst alder body with a gloss urethane finish. And yeah, this is all the original hardware that would have been on this guitar. I don't have a trem bar, but I believe I have one that I could use for this. And the pickguard fits perfectly on this guitar. I don't know if it's the original pickguard or not, but there's no new screws drilled or anything. And rosewood fingerboards with their white dot inlays, jumbo frets. And there's not a lot of fretware on this guitar. The piece of rosewood looks good. Synthetic nut, walnut truss cap with our 70s style headstock. And I do have the plate for the trim cavity. I'm going to leave it off though, I kind of prefer it off. And our blank neck plate, that's spec correct. And then our kind of a satiny polyurethane neck finish, as well as our serial number and original tuners, and our serial number dates it to a 2007 Highway 1. But of course that's not the case. Alright, let's check the specs. Weighing in at 7 pounds, 4.3 ounces, or 3.29 kilograms. Alright, so this guitar has the traditional 25.5 scale length and the 9.5 fretboard radius. And width of the nut is a 1.71 or 43.5 millimeters. And at the 12th fret, that is a 52.33 millimeters or a 2.06 inches. Neck depth at the first fret is a 0.85 inches or 21.64 millimeters. And at the 12th fret, that is a 22.64 millimeters or a 0.89 inches. Let's look at our neck profile. So yeah, pretty standard modern C. Alright, I managed to get a decent setup on this guitar. So using my notched straight edge, you can see that there's very little space between the notched straight edge and the fingerboard, so that tells us that the truss rod is set nice and tight and the neck is nice and straight. When you use the 3rd fret, you can see that the string is resting just nicely against that 1st fret, so that tells us the neck is straight, the truss rod's tight, and the nut is cut well. And then here at the 12th fret, a 1.5 on the low E and just about a 1 on the high E for millimeters. So yeah, nice and low. Alright, I'm just going to run it up and down the neck to check the action and make sure there's no fretting out or buzzing anywhere. I like to speed up this part, but if you want to hear it in real time, slow down the player to 25%. So yeah, nice low action and no fretting or buzzing out anywhere. and the neck feels nice. Yeah, it feels like a Strat neck. Pretty stereotypical Strat neck, but it feels good. It's not grippy at all. The fret ends are nice and smooth. There's no sprout at all, and these jumbo frets make it quite easy to play. Yeah, it's nice. All right, let's go ahead and plug it in and see how it sounds. So yeah, originally I was a bit upset for this not being, you know, what it was supposed to be, but I think that the upgraded custom shop pickups and the really nice vintage case more than make up for it not being quite factory. And again, they could have been much worse. It could have been like Chinese parts, like Classic Vibe or something like that, and I could have been totally ripped off. I think the guy just wasn't quite sure what he had, so he wasn't necessarily trying to mislead me. He just didn't quite know himself. All right, I'm plugged into my 1965 Fender Bassman. Here are my settings. And I'm going to be using Jim Jones GTO Germanium Overdrive for my overdrive pedal. I've got an SM57 on a 212 cab, and I'm using a condenser mic for the room. So yeah, sounds great, clean. I'm pretty picky about my Strat tones, and this one's hitting it so far. It sounds really good. I really like these pickups. One thing to note is in the bridge position, you can adjust the tone. So I don't know if that's specific to this model or if there was a little bit of an extra mod done on the wiring, but yeah, you can adjust the tone on the bridge. Let's go ahead and try it with a little bit of overdrive. All right, so final thoughts on the 2010-ish American Special Series Stratocaster with upgraded custom 50 pickups. Yeah, it's a great guitar. I don't really like many Strats, but this one I really do like. And it just comes down to, I really like the feeling of the neck. It's got that nice modern C. I really like the jumbo frets, it makes it easy to play. And I really like the pickups. They got a great tone, dirty or clean. I like the color as well. The two-tone sunburst looks nice and classy. And I guess I would have preferred the satin nitro finish, but this is fine too. I like the look of the 70s headstock. And yeah, it just really played and sounded really nice. And it's got no wear issues really. It's in really good shape. But not all factory original. So that's another thing you have to watch out for when buying a used Fender, is there's so many different parts and they're all interchangeable. This is a prime example. This is 3 different potentially parts from 3 different guitars. The pickguard, the loaded pickguard, the body, and the neck could all be different guitars. So yeah, make sure you're doing your due diligence. Make sure you're taking apart the neck and looking under the pickguard and dating everything when buying a used Fender, especially like a Craigslist sale or a Facebook Marketplace, something like that. You really got to be careful. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you for tuning in to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and I'll have more for you really soon. Thanks a lot.